go here. Okay, you guys, officially welcome to Fat Loss Foundations. I am so happy that you're watching this either live or the recording. It means the world to me that you would spend some time just listening and learning and stopping whatever you're doing on this Sunday afternoon to be a part of this. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We're gonna dive right into the workshop. I know your guys' time is very valuable and I don't want to waste it. So let's just get over there. All right, present. Okay, the only reason I might get out of this is if more people hop in and I have to let them in. So just bear with me. I can do this presentation probably with my eyes closed. However, the technology piece is always like, who knows what's going to happen. So I'm just going to cross my fingers. Can you guys see the big egg on like avocado toast? Okay, thank you, Kim. All right, so this is Fat Loss Foundations. This is going to be a workshop to learn how to lose fat by understanding and utilizing calorie and macronutrient goals for your specific body and where you want to go in the future. This is a little bit about me. For some of you guys, you've been working with me for a long time and you've known me for forever. And for others, you might not know who the heck I am. So my name is Rachel Eslick. I'm 41 years old. I live in Clovis, California, which is right next to Fresno. I am a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a former athlete, and I used to be a journalist. That was my first career out of college. Did that for about 10 years and then transitioned through some other jobs into personal training. So I found training through doing a bodybuilding show. And that's what the first picture is, where I looked really lean. That was about 9 years ago. I was training for a bodybuilding competition. I did 2 of those the summer of 2014. And while I probably looked really healthy, I was in kind of a bad place with my mental, I think, view of like how I should look and what I should be eating. I was in a very restrictive place. I was afraid that if I ate, a piece of chocolate that I was going to get fat and, suddenly all my work was going to start unraveling because I'm eating a cookie or something. I found macro tracking, or I found basically learned a lot more about nutrition around the time that I was trying to become pregnant and then became pregnant. And so that's the middle picture. I'm like 9 months pregnant right there. And that's when I had gone through my nutrition training and hired my own coach and just really found a balance of I don't have to restrict foods. I don't have to eliminate food groups in order to reach my goals. In fact, I can eat whatever I want and just pay attention to portions. And I was a lot happier with the results I got and what I could actually eat without feeling like, oh, I can only eat ground turkey and broccoli for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The third picture is, that was actually a few years ago, but I've been pretty much the same ever since my daughter was born. I'm very healthy. I'm a personal trainer. So I'm working out a lot, lifting weights, and my nutrition has been about the same for the last 4 or 5 years. And I've found like a really nice balanced place with the way that I view food and diets, teaching people through my nutrition course, Macros for Muscles. That's part of what I do for my business, Reach Fitness. Like I said, I do personal training and group fitness. I primarily work with people via the kettlebell. And yeah, I love what I do. I've been doing this for full time, I think, since 2017, 16, 17. So getting close to a decade. I've been a personal trainer since 2015, and my precision nutrition certification I got in 2018. That's a certification that's really well known in like the personal training space. It's literally for personal trainers to work with their clients on nutrition. It's all science-based. It's no sort of like fad weird stuff. It's the science of how nutrition works. Lots of mindset, And it's a really great program. So I love Precision Nutrition. We're going to be using the Precision Nutrition macro calculator later today. So that's what I love. And then I kind of weave in my own things that I found that has worked over the years of working with dozens and dozens of people on their nutrition. And some of you guys are here on the call today. So, all right, that's me. Today in this workshop, we are going to cover an understanding of calories and macronutrients. We're going to talk about the role of protein. We're going to talk a lot about metabolism. And then you're going to have the opportunity to get some custom calories and macronutrients for your goals. And then we'll talk about potential next steps. The things we aren't going to cover, because like I said, this is going to take about an hour. We're not going to talk about the implementation or the application of, so you're going to get some calorie goals, some macronutrient goals, like how do you actually utilize those? We're not going to talk about tracking, the nuances of tracking, how to get consistent. We're not going to talk about fitness, and we're not going to talk about anything else other than what's in the column of what we're going to cover. So I just want to give you some expectations of how this is going to run today. All right, so calories. We're going to start with the very, very basics. Every food has some calories associated with it, unless we're talking about like just plain water. Every food has calories. So these goldfish crackers that you probably can't see, 130 calories. This can of tuna, actually also 130 calories. We all know that I told you technology was really going to be interesting. Now, how do I get my presentation back? Is it right here? Can you guys see that? Yeah, okay. Okay, so looking at this picture, like salad, greens don't have a lot of calories. But also looking at that picture, coconut flakes do. So every food has some calories associated with it. Some are high, some are low. None of it is bad. It just is. Calories are just a unit of energy assigned to food. We can have, there's kind of three ways that calories that we can talk about, like being in a calorie deficit, having an energy balance, or being in a caloric surplus. So if we're just maintaining our weight, not really changing, not gaining, not losing, then we're probably in some sort of energy balance. So that means if I need 2,200 calories just to maintain my weight, if I'm pretty consistently getting 2,200 calories and I'm maintaining my weight, I'm in an energy balance. If I'm trying to lose weight or lose fat, then I want to be in an energy deficit. So if I need 2,200 calories just to maintain my weight, then maybe I'm going to go to 2,000 calories or 1,800 calories. I'm going to plan some sort of caloric deficit so that over time with consistency, if I'm in a calorie deficit, I'm going to be losing some weight. And by the way, it's about 3,500 calories of a deficit to lose a pound of fat or to gain a pound. So 3,500 calories, if you were trying to lose 1 pound a week, then you would want to cut your calories about 500 calories per day to reach a 3,500 calorie deficit at the end of the week. If you're in a calorie surplus, so if you need 2,200 calories to maintain your weight and you're eating 2,700 calories or something that's over 2,200 calories consistently, day after day, week after week, month after month, then theoretically you're going to gain weight. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Pretty simple sort of breakdown: energy balance, maintenance, deficit. Hopefully we're losing weight. We're in a surplus, and then we're gaining weight. Counting calories is a really good way to potentially lose weight. So if you're counting calories and you're in a calorie deficit, then you're probably losing weight. I can't see everyone just the way that I have this view, but raise your hand if you've ever counted calories before. I feel like that's a thing that many of us have done in the past. Yes. Yeah, totally. Or points. Calorie counting is a really good method for yes. Lydia, do you have a question, or were you just raising your hand about counting calories? You guys can raise your hand or unmute yourself if you guys want to jump
I,
in and
I was
questions.
I was just raising my hand.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So counting calories is a great way to lose weight. But if we're talking about losing fat, which is what most people really want, most people uh, want to lose fat, not necessarily lose muscle. And maybe you don't even know that you don't want to lose muscle, but I'm here to tell you that you do not want to lose muscle. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But the more muscle we have on our body, the more energy we're burning at rest. So that's a good thing. If we're burning more calories just by sitting down because we have more muscle in our body, then that's cool. That means you can be a little bit more flexible with your diet and not gain extra weight. And just having muscle in our body, it helps us feel younger, be independent into our, you know, later years. Aesthetically, it looks nice. And I'm not talking about like bodybuilder muscle necessarily, but just having some lean tissue on your body, most people think is aesthetically pleasing. And losing fat is what we really want to do, not like lose muscle and fat, which can happen if you're just counting calories. Counting calories is a good way to help you reach your weight loss goals. It is one technique that we can use to understand nutrition better as a whole. It's a responsible way to track what's going into your body, and it can be an effective way to get into a caloric deficit or surplus. Calorie counting isn't something that should be done forever and ever and ever. It isn't something that's automatically obsessive, but it can become. It's not necessary always in order to lose weight, but I believe that it is beneficial to at least do for some amount of time. And it is not automatically a form of restrictive dieting, because you can just track your intake and not be restricting what you're eating, but just get a feel for how many calories you're eating just on a day-to-day basis. Calorie and macro tracking definitely can be something that gets obsessive or restrictive. I don't coach that way. I'm pretty lazy when it comes to like being on the nose for everything, because I don't think you have to be on the nose for everything. I'm not lazy in a way that I don't care about my clients. I'm just lazy in a way that I don't want you to track all the things down to the gram every single day. It's unnecessary. We can reach our goals without that. Okay, so we're going to talk about weight loss versus fat loss, because this is a concept I really want you to understand. When I say weight loss, I'm talking about like the scale weight. So 200 pounds, 190 pounds, 10 pounds loss. What is the composition of that weight loss? Well, a lot of times, if you're just counting calories, it is both fat and muscle tissue that is being lost. So when your body is relying on itself for energy, so you're not taking in as many calories as what your body needs to do all of its normal daily things, it's going to draw on what stores you have, fat stores, muscle stores, whatever it needs to keep you going. Fat loss means you're losing more fat than muscle. And there's some strategies on how we do this, but the picture right in the middle kind of shows someone that has achieved weight loss, and they basically have the same shape, just a little bit smaller. And then the second picture is illustrating fat loss. Now, this person has lost probably a lot of fat, and it's a drawing anyways, but you can see that her body has now reshaped. It's not the same shape, just a little bit smaller. She has abs, which I cannot guarantee for everyone here. I would love it if I had abs. But you can see fat loss is the preservation of muscle and the loss of mostly fat. Okay, so I don't want you guys to like interchange weight loss and fat loss. Fat loss means that we're preserving our muscle or maybe even gaining muscle while losing fat. Weight loss is kind of everything. And for most people, if you're in a calorie deficit, but you're not prioritizing eating a bunch of protein, then you're going to have muscle and fat loss. The way that we achieve mostly fat loss is by eating a lot of protein. Okay. that's what we're going to talk about with the macronutrients. Okay, so macronutrients stands for three main components of food. So calories are sort of like every food has a calorie. Now we're taking a look at what are in those calories. So every food can be in one of three buckets, or for most foods, a combination of buckets. So we have our carbs, we have our protein, and we have our fats. Those are the three main macronutrients. I also included alcohol in this because it is actually a separate macronutrient. I don't recommend that we drink a bunch of alcohol anyways, but for whatever reason, I put it in this slide. Carbohydrates and protein have the same amount of calories per gram. So by weight, they both have 4 calories per gram. Fats are more than double that amount, so 9 calories per gram. So if we're looking at this Venn diagram, our carbs will include things like fruit, vegetables, bread, oatmeal, and I think carbs get a really bad rap. Like, I'm going to cut carbs so I can lose weight. But carbs include tons of really healthy foods that give us good fiber, that I think we can all sort of argue are super healthy for us. Protein is going to be mostly animal meat, but you can also get protein from other sources like dairy, beans. Let's just say that's edamame, that's kind of in between the carbs and protein. There's protein supplements. And then we have our fats, which are things like avocado, olive oil, nuts, coconut, and then in between protein and fat, it's showing some cheese and some eggs, which have both, protein and fat in them. A lot of foods have all three. So most things that are like processed are, have a combination of all of the macronutrients. If anything has a label on it, it's pretty easy to look and see. I just brought one of my favorite protein bars, just as an example. On the back, you can see calories, which I know you can't see. So I'm going to tell you there's 200 calories, there's 18 carbs, there's 20 grams of protein, and there's 8 grams of fat. So if something has a label, you can see the macronutrients on the label. The things that I want you to pay attention to more than anything else are calories and then protein. Because for most of us, if we're going to be in a calorie deficit, we're going to need a lot more protein than we're probably used to in order to support fat loss versus just weight loss. So hopefully that makes sense for you guys. I am going to attempt to take a volunteer. I mean, not a volunteer, but if you guys know the answer to this, or you think you know the answer to this, go ahead and just unmute yourself and say whatever you think this is. So if you can see me, I'm holding up a jar of Skippy peanut butter, and you cannot see the macronutrients. I'm going to give you 2 choices. No, I'm not going to give you any choices. I just want you to tell me if this is a carbohydrate, a protein, or a fat. So unmute yourself and you tell me.
Is it a combo of protein and fat?
Wow, was that Kim? That was Kim, right? You get a gold star, and you get today's bonus, which is going to be a $25 gift card to any grocery store you want. So way to be a guinea pig. She's right. It is a combination of protein and fat. And now, Kim, I'm going to ask you specifically, is it more of a fat or more of a protein?
Ooh. I'm going to say more of a protein.
Okay, I'm still going to give you the gift card, and I still love you so much, but it is more of a fat. And this is so common, you guys. So many people are like, but I had peanut butter on my English muffin, so I got some protein. You got a little bit of protein, but what you mostly got is fat. And fat's not bad. We all need fat in our diet, but as this illustrates here, 9 calories per gram. So a lot more calories per weight. And it is 16 grams of fat per serving. So 2 tablespoons is a serving, 16 grams of fat, 7 grams of protein. So a lot more fat grams than protein grams. This is one that's like really tricky. Even my mom is like, but I had peanut butter, so I got some protein. No, I want you to eat some like animal meat or 2 eggs with egg whites. Like that's your protein, not a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. Okay, I have, this is really easy. Who knows what macronutrient tuna is? You can unmute yourself.
I would
I'm
say
gonna-
that's all protein.
It is. Who said that? Because I can't see you.
Lydia.
Oh, thank you, Lydia. Yes, all protein, baby. Tuna has, unless it's packed in olive oil, it is 29 grams of protein for this little like 5 ounce, 4 ounce after you take out the water. Unless it's in olive oil, it's almost no fat. There's 1 gram of fat in here. So this is a really good source of protein. And Mary, who had a question in the chat, this is actually my favorite protein bar, not this flavor, but Bear Bells, Barebells. These I find at Trader Joe's. You can probably order them online as well. I don't see them at very many stores, but I will say that when I've seen them at Trader Joe's, they are cheaper than what I found online. They're at like $2.29 or $1.99 at Trader Joe's. My favorite is the chocolate dough. It's just like chocolate on chocolate. And they're all like some version of chocolate, I think, for the most part. So if you don't like chocolate, then don't come at me. But there's 20 grams of protein, 200 calories. It's a little bit better than a candy bar because there is such a high amount of protein for the calories. But this is a supplement. This is not like what we should be eating primarily. For our protein source, it's like a snack or, something like that. But for the most part, we want to be getting our protein from more like whole, real food sources. Okay, so like I mentioned before, tracking macronutrients is a better method for fat loss rather than weight loss because we're going to be pushing more protein, and more protein is going to be much more satiating, and it's going to help us with our fat loss goals being in a calorie deficit. I have some slides more about protein that we'll get to in just a second. So this is why I care about macronutrients more than just calories alone, because we could be in a calorie deficit and be eating peanut butter like all day long, but as long as we're in a calorie deficit, we can still lose weight. Are we going to feel our best eating just peanut butter all day, every day? No, we're not. We're probably going to be really hungry because it's going to take like 10 tablespoons of peanut butter to get to our calorie goal for the day. And I think we're all going to feel much better if we're eating, fruits and vegetables and lean protein and whole grains in order to fill ourselves up, get the nutrients that we need, and just make being in a calorie deficit a whole lot easier than eating like Oreos or peanut butter. And I had peanut butter today. I'm not trying to like be mean to peanut butter. We are friends. Okay, so metabolism. When I say metabolism, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of lump metabolism, your resting metabolic rate, and your basal metabolic rate. I'm going to kind of use them interchangeably because they're very much related. So your resting metabolic rate and your basal metabolic rate are very similar numbers. And it's basically like, what are the calories that you need just to live your life, just for your cells to divide, for your hair to grow, so that you can breathe. Even if you were in a hospital bed, doing nothing, just laying there recovering, there's a certain amount of calories that you need just to stay the same, just to maintain kind of existence. For a lot of us, it might be 1,200 calories, 1,500 calories. It just depends on many factors, whether you're a male or female, how large you are or small, your age, like all kinds of stuff. Things that we can control, things that we can't control. There's both. So when we're talking about like having a slow metabolism or having a fast metabolism, there are things that we can do and probably have unconsciously done to slow down our metabolism and speed up our metabolism. So our metabolism is going to slow down if you lose a bunch of weight. So if you weighed 250 pounds and then you weighed 200 pounds, your metabolism is going to be slower at 200 pounds because that's a natural thing that occurs. Like you don't need as many calories at 200 pounds to maintain your weight as you did at 250 pounds. So it's not a bad thing. It just is, it is what it is. If we have gained weight, we need more calories to stay at that weight as well. And your metabolism has probably had an uptick as you gain weight too. So metabolism isn't something that necessarily like we are destined to have, you know, a slow metabolism or a fast metabolism or whatever. It's designed to change to keep us alive. That is a normal thing that it does. It's a good thing. So some things that we can't change about how our metabolism runs is we can't change our age. As we get older, our metabolism does slow down. We can't change our age. We can't change our sex. We can't change our genetics and our body type. But what we can do to positively impact our metabolism is we can put some more muscle on our body. I mentioned it before, the more muscle you have on your body, the more calories your body is using just to hang out. It's burning more energy. It's utilizing more calories all the time. So a person, two people that both weigh 150 pounds, one person's 20% body fat, the other one's 40% body fat. This person over here with less body fat and more lean tissue is going to get away with eating more calories and not gaining weight. And it kind of seems unfair, but also I think it should be good motivation for all of us to lift some weights, some challenging weights for us so that we can put on some muscle onto our body and start to move metabolism in the right direction for you. You can change your activity level. You can get up from your desk if you're working 10 hours a day and walk around the block for 10 minutes more often. It's so trite, but like you can park further away from the store that you're going to walk into or take the stairs instead of the elevator. We can add more activity into what we're doing each day, and that's going to help us burn more calories. It's called NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And we can change how we work out, or we can start working out. So if we're doing like very chill yin yoga, maybe we can start doing some like weightlifting or HIIT classes, or just something that's a little bit higher intensity or more moderate intensity if we're on the low intensity side of things. I definitely recommend lifting weights at least 2 times per week for at least 30 minutes. Okay, that's like basic minimum. And then we can help our metabolism start moving in the direction we want it to move in by making better food choices, and for women especially, eating like breakfast, lunch, dinner, having food in our body throughout the day instead of like waiting until 2 p.m. Okay, so let's talk about protein. We've talked about it a little bit, but I'm going to give you like the 411 on why protein is so important for fat loss. Again, protein is one of our 3 macronutrients. The other 2 are carbs and fat. Protein we can find primarily in animal meat. That's going to be a great source. Of course, there's other vegetarian sources, tofu and soy and seitan and other sources that aren't animal meat, but great source and the best source of complete protein is going to be found from our animal proteins. We can also find protein in beans and nuts and seeds and dairy and protein supplements. Those all have protein in them. Protein might not be the main macronutrient, but we can find, there's even protein in some of the tortillas and bread and stuff that I eat. I'm not quite sure how it's in there, but you can find like little bits of protein other places. And protein is critical because when we're in a calorie deficit, we're going to be hungry, right? We're not taking in as many calories as what our body is used to and what our body, you know, quote unquote needs in order to maintain our weight. So we're probably going to be hungry. eating more protein is going to help us stay more full and satiated. So if you take 2 salads, they're the exact same. Let's just say they have like lettuce and there's some feta cheese and there's some carrots and there's some cranberries. I'm trying to think of some cucumbers on there. 2 salads, the exact same. And maybe there's some dressing on there too. And then 1 salad also has like 5 ounces of chicken breast. Oh, that extra 5 ounces of chicken breast is going to keep us way more full from that salad than just the salad with the other vegetables and the dressing and a little bit of cheese. So having protein in our meals is so helpful to not turning around and being hungry for something else like 30 seconds after we're done eating. Protein is also essential for helping us repair our muscles. And if we're trying to add muscle to our frame, when we're lifting weights, when we're exercising, our muscle fibers are being broken down. And then it's through the process of eating and recovering and resting that those muscle fibers repair, potentially grow. We need that protein to grow our muscles, repair our muscles. That's all like a very natural occurrence. Our body is constantly using the protein that we're eating. So it's being excreted and recycled. It's not something that our body holds on to for like 3 days. And it's like, oh yeah, Rachel had protein 3 days ago. Let's go and use some of that. Like it's being used constantly. That's why we want to have protein in every meal and in every snack too, because it's getting used and then it's getting kicked out. When we eat protein, our body is actually using more energy to digest that protein than it is to digest, say, these rice cakes, which are just carbs, or these goldfish, all things that I have in my pantry right now. So the thermic effect of food is just talking about like the energy that our body is using to break down and digest what we ate. When we eat protein, it takes a little bit more energy to digest it. So we're getting a little bit more calorie expenditure when we're eating protein versus carbohydrates and fat. Is it a huge amount of extra energy? No, but it's worth mentioning because all of these little things do add up. Okay, that's actually not what I wanted. Well, that's weird. It like totally skipped. Okay, so our protein needs are 0.7 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. This is kind of a loose calculation. I don't recommend necessarily doing this, especially if you're pretty overweight. Like if someone weighs 300 pounds, I'm not going to suggest that they eat 300 grams of protein because that's quite a bit. So that's a good calculation for someone that just has a little bit of weight to lose or is already at a pretty healthy weight. For most of my clients, when I'm working with people, I just want them to start at 100 grams of protein per day. So for most women, 100 grams is a really great starting place. I personally am shooting for more like 120, 130, sometimes 140 grams of protein per day. And for any men, I suggest even more. So like 125, 150. Also, it depends on the person's size, but most men, I would want them to start out with even more than 100 grams of protein per day. I am an advocate for eating protein at breakfast, at lunch, at dinner, during any snacks that you have. And if you want to break down 100 grams of protein, really easy to do. If you have 30 grams at breakfast, 30 grams at lunch, 30 or 40 grams at dinner, boom, you're at 100 grams of protein. And then bonus for any extra snacks that you might have that also have protein in them. Like half a cup of cottage cheese is something like 10 or 11 or 12 grams of protein. If you're eating Greek yogurt, that usually has between 10 and 15 grams of protein. This protein bar that I was talking about, 20 grams of protein. So any other little like snacks like that can just kind of bump up those numbers. Okay, so not all protein is created equal. So I'm sure we have an understanding of like leaner proteins have less fat in that protein, therefore less calories. So we want to be really reliant on leaner cuts of meat for our protein sources. So more like chicken breast, tuna, pork loin, a lean cut of beef or ground beef that's going to be leaner, ground turkey, or just any kind of turkey, rather than hot dogs, sausage, pepperoni, salami, those types of things. If you go to Costco and you get their Polish dog or whatever, it's like, 8 billion calories and 15 grams of protein. That's not really going to be helpful to being in a calorie deficit. For a calorie deficit, we want to be keeping tabs on overall calories, but still getting a good amount of protein. So we're looking for a nice ratio of low in calories, high in protein, and that's going to help you get to your goals a lot easier than if you're eating more like fatty cuts of meat. Okay, so who wants to go through this precision nutrition calculator live in our workshop right now? And then for anybody that wants to do it on their own, just kind of in the background on your computer or on your phone or whatever, I can help you do that. But if anybody wants to be a volunteer, I am going to ask you like your current weight, your age, how tall you are, what weight you want to be, and we're going to go through all the questions together. If anybody wants me to do it for them, just unmute yourself.
I'll do it, Rachel.
Is it Lydia?
Yeah,
No, who is it? Okay.
it's Lydia. Yeah, we did it the other day, so you may have that information at your
Well, we'll do it again.
fingertips. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to go over to where the calorie calculator thing is. And I do want to share this. I just popped out of that presentation, so I'm going to go over here. Okay, that's what I wanted to do. Okay, so for anyone at home that wants to do this on their own and ask all the questions or answer all the questions yourself, just Google precision nutrition calculator. And I put it in the chat. Precision nutrition calculator. Probably the first thing that comes up is going to be what you want. You can see on my URL, it just says precisionnutrition.com/nutrition-calculator. So we're going to get started. Okay, so my screen's going to look a little bit different because I'm a precision nutrition coach, but you can answer all of these questions. It's going to ask you the same questions. It'll be the same. Okay, so Lydia, I know you told me, but I already forgot. How old are you?
58.
Okay. Lydia's a female and she's 5'7", right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Very basic stuff. Your weight right now?
151.
Okay, and then all that stuff is very self-explanatory. You guys know how old you are, how tall you are, how much you weigh. This is not self-explanatory. So what is your goal? So if you're someone that wants to lose more than 10 pounds, then I would suggest that you use the lose weight goal. If you're someone that's wanting to build muscle, probably increase your overall weight, then you would select build muscle. Athletic performance, I guess this would be for like a professional athlete. Body recomposition is probably going to be the second most popular one. And this is for anyone that doesn't have 10 pounds of fat to lose. Maybe you're already at like your goal weight. You just want to kind of keep going, keep building muscle, keep over time losing fat. And so body recomposition is good if you just want to stay the same weight, but you want to know, how do I eat to actually like build some muscle? Maybe you've never tracked your protein before. So this is for someone that wants to stay neutral with their weight, and slowly over time, the scale basically stays the same, but you're losing fat and adding muscle. So you look different. Maybe your clothes fit different. And then improve health. I've actually never even selected this one, but I think that's also going to keep your calories in a balance. and it'll just give you some food suggestions and calorie and macronutrient suggestions. So for most of you guys, you're going to want body recomposition or lose weight. And lose weight's probably going to be the most common one for most people. Lydia, we did lose weight for you, right?
Yes. Yes, we did.
We shall do that. Yeah. Okay. And so how much do you want to weigh? Was it 140?
Oh, 140. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's 11 pounds. And
Yes.
by when is going to be a really important component to this, because I want you guys to keep in mind that it's unrealistic for women to be losing more than half a pound to up to a pound per week without doing some like crazy unsustainable things that you're not going to want to continue doing for weeks or months at a time. So I want you guys to give yourself some realistic goals and plan on losing a half a pound to a pound per week, and maybe even less than that if you're not going to be as consistent as like 80% consistent. So Lydia, what did we choose last time? Do you remember? Was it like 12 weeks, 16 weeks? What wasn't it, Christmas or
Yeah.
New Year?
Yeah, it was December, late December. Yes.
End of December. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll do that. And then you had said Mediterranean. This part doesn't matter a ton, you guys, unless you're like actually plant-based, then I want you to select plant-based, because this is going to give you some food suggestions, and we don't want to be suggesting that you eat a steak if you don't eat meat, right? So Mediterranean is going to be, I guess, less like bread, but more rice and grains. Anything is anything. Paleo is not going to be bread. Vegetarian is not going to be meat. Ketogenic is going to be really low carbohydrate, and then plant-based.
We actually
Lydia?
chose anything on there.
Okay. Is that still good?
Yeah.
Okay. I recommend anything. I think that for most people, that's just going to be good. And then we're going to use the standard macronutrients. And I suggest you guys that you, even if you don't right now, I would love for you guys to start eating 3 meals a day. If you're hell-bent on intermittent fasting and you just want to eat 2 meals a day, then go for it. But I'm still going to encourage you to eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a couple snacks in there too. 3 meals a day. Okay, so this is going to be really important, you guys. There's going to be 2 activity questions. The first one is, what is your just general activity, your lifestyle? And then the other one is going to be about exercise. And this isn't what you want your activity to be, it is what it is now. Because if you overestimate, then precision nutrition is going to give you more calories than you probably need. And if you underestimate, it's going to assume you don't need very many calories. So do your best to answer this for what it is now, not what you hope it is once you get started. And we had talked about Lydia is a maniac and she works like 12 hours a day at her desk. So we said very light or light?
I think it's an activity level we came up with moderately active.
Okay. Are you sure that wasn't your exercise?
That may have been, but that may have been that was the activity level that it showed on this printout that I got.
Well, I'm going to choose light today, and I want you to see if this changes anything. It'll be kind of a fun experiment. And then when Lydia and I were talking earlier, she walks most days, and she does strength training workouts. And so for that, I think we chose moderate activity, right? Or moderate workouts, 3 to 4 hours. This is per week, not per day. If you're not doing any exercise right now, that's totally fine. But just kind of be honest, like if you're doing 1 to 3 hours of exercise, choose light. If you're doing 3 to 4, choose moderate. If you're doing 4 to 6, choose intense. If you're like gangbuster, basically an athlete or something, then maybe very intense. But that's not going to be very many people. So moderate. If anyone does my Reach Fitness workouts and you're doing like 3 or 4 of them per week, then I would say if you're doing 3 of them per week, then maybe light. If you're doing 4 or more, then probably moderate, because it does talk about like the hours of time that you're working out. Okay, dun, 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 dun. Finally, we answered all the questions. We're going to download your complete guide. If anyone is doing this on their phone, it's going to go to your phone's downloads, just FYI. So you're going to find it there. If you're on your computer, your laptop, your desktop, it'll go to those downloads. If you're on your phone, sometimes it's hard to find. So be aware of that. Okay, so here's Lydia's information. And you guys, when you download your complete guide, you're going to get this too. It's 17 pages. And I'll tell you kind of where to look immediately. So you're going to go down to page 4, and that's going to give you your protein goals and your calorie goals. So at the very bottom of page 4 is where the calories are. So it says 1,828 calories for you to reach your goals. So 158 grams of protein, 150 grams-ish of carbohydrates, 66 grams of fat. So Lydia is doing macros for muscles, and she already signed up. So we actually went through this exercise a few days ago. Lydia, what's the difference? Do you have the other one pulled up?
I do. The calories were 1832, so that's
Yeah,
just
so it's like
4 calories different.
4 calories.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're just kind of like talking about that because you could theoretically, any of you guys could theoretically go through this precision nutrition calculator and answer the questions if you're like, but am I lightly active or moderately active, or is my exercise light or moderate or intense? You can go through this and answer the questions a couple different ways. And most likely, your calories will maybe change by 100 or something like that. So it's going to be pretty negligible. And what I want you guys to do with your calories is I want you to give yourself a range. So I don't want anyone shooting for 1,828 calories because you'll drive yourself bananas if that's what you're actually like trying to do. So go 100 calories below. So just for this, like let's say 1,850, just for a little bit more of a round number. So 1,750 to 1,950. And that's your calorie range. So 100 below and 100 above, what the number is. And let's just like live in that range. And I want you tracking protein primarily. So as you're logging your food and checking out what you're eating every day, I want everyone, for the most part, to be starting with 100 grams of protein. And then once that becomes automatic for you, then maybe you can bump up to 110 or 120 or 130 until you get to a place where you're like, all right, I probably can't eat any more protein than that. I think a lot of times we'll sort of figure that out. Like, I really can't eat more than 7 grams of chicken in this meal. That's where I'm happy. So you don't have to get to like 158 grams of protein, Lydia, but if you do, like, that's great. So these are things that we're going to take these numbers and then plug them into whatever app that you're using to track your calories. So when I coach people, we all just use MyFitnessPal for the most part, the free version, because that's what I'm most familiar with. There's other different like tracking apps. So if you're more familiar with something else, then go ahead and use it. But I'm not going to know the ins and outs of every single app. So there's meal suggestions, and I'm going to scroll down to the next page that I want you guys to pay attention to within this 17-page PDF. And that's going to be our food recommendations that are like green, yellow, and red. So each of the macronutrients are going to have a page that's like, eat more of these things, eat some of these things, and eat less of these other things. So kind of like what we talked about earlier, we want a lean protein for the most part, cottage cheese, plain Greek yogurt, lentils, beans. Insects is always kind of a funny one, but there is cricket protein powder. In fact, I don't know if Jackie's still on the call, but she's an advocate for it. So our leaner meats, eggs, egg whites. And then in the eat some category, these are things that like I eat all the time personally: protein powder, deli meat. Not saying that they're bad for you, but maybe these shouldn't be like your main sources of protein. And then the things on the right, we obviously don't want to be eating a ton of like fried food just because it adds so many extra calories. Meat sticks, pepperoni, salami, things like that. Protein bars are in the eat less category. I eat protein bars quite a bit, but I'm still eating mostly things in the green column, and then the protein bar is a supplement, not like my main source of protein. And then you can check out the carbohydrates and then also the fats. And this is pretty basic information, but if you've never seen anything like this before, then I think it's really helpful to help you make some better food choices. Okay, so that is our precision nutrition calorie and macronutrient calculator. I'm going to get out of this and then go back to the presentation, and we'll finish that up. And then I want you guys to like ask as many questions as you want afterwards. You can stay on, I'll stay on for as long as you guys want. But I just want to, for the sake of time and your guys' like dinner plans and all that, I want to make sure we get through the rest of the presentation. So we've talked about kind of everything that we wanted to talk about in terms of calories, macronutrients, protein, metabolism, getting your custom calorie and macro numbers. And now we're going to talk about next steps. So for some of you guys, you're going to get this information and you're going to be like, cool, I got it. I'm off and running. I can do it myself. I don't need any extra hand holding. And for others, I would even say most people, it would be super beneficial to have some hand holding, some recipe ideas, some accountability, some consistency, you know, doing this day after day and week after week, and just getting some good repetition with this. And sometimes when we do stuff on our own, it's like, oh, am I actually doing this right? You have some questions, you don't really know, and you can get kind of blocked because you're like, I don't even know if I'm doing this right. And maybe you lose weight, maybe you don't. You start to lose motivation after like seriously 2 weeks. That's about maybe even within a few days. Most of us are like, this is new and shiny, this is great. And then 3 days later, you're like, but I'm hungry. And now I just want to do all the things that I used to do. So for most people, we're going to tap out pretty quickly. But when we have a community or we have a program that we've invested in, sometimes we can really see more success with that. So if you have questions, you would have me to help you answer them. You have the engagement of, we're going to be doing fun little challenges and keeping tabs on each other for 8 weeks. You're going to be getting all these new recipes that you're going to be excited to try. And oh my gosh, like it really tastes so great and it's good for me. You're going to be, you know, recommitting if you fall off the wagon, which we're all going to do. You're going to be like, you know what, I'm just going to do the next thing, which is eat my next healthy meal or go for a walk, or what's the next healthy decision that I can make to just get right back on track. And over time, you're going to see results. Now, are you going to get where you want to be in 8 weeks? Probably not, but this is going to be like an 8-week sort of jump start or 8 weeks of consistency so that you can keep doing this on your own. So I'm talking about Macros for Muscles, which is my signature nutrition course. It's 8 weeks of learning with me. Everything's online. And there's both one-on-one components. So one-on-one calls with me, 3 of them is what we get in Macros for Muscles. And then there's weekly group lessons. There's a group chat that we're, you know, in constant communication day to day. And Macros for Muscles starts September 10th and it'll run through November 4th. And this is lifetime access. So for anyone that's done Macros for Muscles before, I started this time around, like you can participate again. We're not going to do one-on-one calls for people that have already done Macros for Muscles, but you get the accountability, the community, the recipes, just kind of the support from the group. So if you do this for 8 weeks and you want to do it the next time around and the next time around after that, then you totally can, and you don't have to pay for it again, which I think is a pretty great perk. All the information is on a website, and there's an app that you can download and kind of take with you. So you can have all this information wherever you are on the go, or at your home on your computer. What else? I follow a system. It's called the SAM system. And the first S stands for, we're getting specific with our calories and macronutrients to dial in your diet, and it's rooted in science. I'm not telling you guys to drink apple cider and eat cookies, right? Like, we're talking about just having a appropriate amount of calories for you and your goals. This is not something that I'm pulling out of thin air. It's rooted in science. There's going to be step-by-step instructions at a slow enough pace that it doesn't feel overwhelming, right? So now you have some calorie and some protein numbers. Maybe that in and of itself is like, well, okay, but how do I do this? Well, I'm going to show you how. And we're going to start with just calories. Like, all I care about is you tracking your calories and seeing what it's like to be in your calorie range. Then we'll layer in protein. Then we'll layer in making sure you're getting enough fiber. Then we'll layer in the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. You'll have accountability with me in the small group. You'll know me, I'll know you. You guys will know each other, and you have this awesome support system in this space. And then we practice moderation with all things. Like, I don't want you guys to be perfect, because if you're perfect, you're probably not having fun with your nutrition. You're not going out to restaurants with your friends. You're not having a cocktail. You're not having a cookie. I just want you guys to be like 80% there. If you're doing 80% of the things, 80% of the times, then you're going to start moving in the direction of your goals, and you're still going to have a life and be happy with it. So I don't expect or want perfection. I just want us to be doing a little bit better, and living in like a place of moderation. Okay, so this is going to be for people who want a structured and scientific approach. It's going to be for people who want flexibility with their diet and eat a variety of food, who want to lose fat and maintain muscle or potentially gain muscle, and who want accountability and community. Macros for Muscles is not for people who want a very specific and detailed meal plan, because you're not going to stick with it anyways. For anyone that has an eating disorder or could easily slide into disordered eating, I would not recommend this for you. It's not for people who are shooting for perfection or have an all or nothing mindset. It's not for people who don't have the time or the desire to track what you're eating, at least for a short time. And it's not for people who want to be super duper restrictive. In Macros for Muscles, we're going to cover a whole bunch of different things. This list is just some of the things that we're going to talk about. So I already mentioned, like, hitting our calorie range, having a protein minimum, fiber, practicing mindfulness. How do we stay motivated? How do we get enough water? What's our stress management and sleep management, and those lifestyle pieces that make a tremendous difference as well. We'll talk about meal planning, all the things. So the next Macros for Muscles course is running September 10th through November 4th. It is $399 regular price, but for the folks, you guys who have been in fat loss foundations, or at least registered for fat loss foundations, you guys get $100 off. But that $100 discount does expire August 30th. So if you want in on this course, definitely do it ASAP, because there is going to be a cap on registration. I'm going to take between 20 and 30 people, and we're already at 10 people right now, because I had a pre-registration even a couple weeks ago. So if anybody is thinking about doing this, I think it's great. You guys, there's people on the call that have done it before, and they're back for more. So obviously they enjoyed their experience. So August 30th at midnight, that $299 price is going to expire. And then the price is going to be $399 until I fill up, or until the program starts. The bonus is, I just wanted to remind myself to give someone a bonus for showing up. So that was Kim, who answered the very first question of the day. Kim, don't forget to let me know where you want your $25 gift card to go. And then if you guys have any questions, please let me know. I'm gonna put the URL. I should have had this handy. Reached it. If you guys want the URL for this, I'll show you, or maybe it's on the homepage. It's my website. Hello, I'm Rachel. Okay, so here's Macros for Muscles. So this will give me a URL that I'm just going to put in the chat for you guys. Hey, Kathy.
Hey, Rachel.
Hey, Kathy Mesh. What did you, just totally on the spot, we did not plan this or talk about this. What did you learn in Macros for Muscles that you want to share with the people that have never done it before and are thinking about it?
Okay, first time around, you taught me about protein and macros, and it was fantastic after going through the course. I guess it was about 10 months, approximately, maybe 11. I lost 50 pounds.
Oh my God. Holy cannoli.
And
That's
that
crazy.
was, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, at least, yeah, I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And you've
I've
had,
maintained, yeah, I'd like to lose another 10 to 12 pounds this time around. Just, checking, making sure I remember how to do it and what I'm looking for. It's all about protein and water.
yeah, protein, water, eating your vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this
just
is a good time of year because all the produce is so fresh.
It is, I know. It's also a good time of year just because the summer is, people are so busy and they're doing their vacations. And now, I mean, things slow down a little bit, but actually fall is still super busy. But at least people are a little bit more in a routine or their schedule is a little bit more consistent. And we're not yet in the holidays. So we're not, hopefully being completely derailed by like Christmas cookies and all the things. So this is going to run from September 10th to November 4th. So hopefully it'll set us up to be in a really good place to start dealing with like all the holiday temptations. And Kathy, that's amazing, by the way. I guess I didn't realize it was that drastic of weight loss. But you're in a much better place like with your health now, which is amazing.
I am. I'm walking. I'm also, I'm 73 and I have an adult tricycle that we ride about 10 miles a day.
Oh my gosh, that's just you?
There's three of us in the
tandem?
neighborhood.
I'm picturing a tandem tricycle. No, but you guys all have them.
We all have our own, but we get out on the walking paths and have our little bells and off we go.
I love it. I love it so much. Thank you, Kathy. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm good. It's a fun program and the support is phenomenal. We shared recipes, we shared sources where we were shopping. We were in contact with the group daily. It was a lot of fun.
It's so fun for me because no one cares about what I'm eating outside of Macros for Muscles. So when we're in an 8-week group, I'm like, oh good, I get to share all my food. Otherwise, no one cares. Which I'm not a fancy eater. I'm just very basic. But cool. Does anybody else have questions about like their calories or their macros that if you guys did this exercise on the back end of things, do you guys have any questions or any questions about Macros for Muscles? If you do, just unmute yourself. Awesome.
I have sorry,
Yeah.
I have a question. Is there such thing as giving yourself too much time to reach a goal, like being too relaxed for the goal? So my goal, my just overall goal, it doesn't, have to happen within a certain time frame, but I'm looking for 70 pounds. And I just put in the precision calculator by my birthday next year, which is the end of June. But I'm wondering, like, am I giving myself too much time, not enough time? Like, how can I gauge the realisticness of that calculation?
Yeah. So how many calories did it give you?
It gave me 1363. No, 1463.
Okay. So I think it's very dependent on like, what do you like? Do you want to go hard for a month and then like relax for a month and then be really super dialed in again for a month and then relax? Or do you just want to be like, I'm just gonna do this calorie deficit from now until forever? I mean, I like, what do you want to do? And I think this can be a different answer for every person, but you could try to go a little bit lower calorie and then maintain for a month. And then, you know what I mean? Like based
Right.
on what's going on with your life. Like, are you on vacation for a month or are you like, nope, this is the month where I'm going to really dial it in? I think it, and no, I don't think that losing 70 pounds by June of 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's less than a year from now. And that's more than 1 pound per week. So I don't think that that's like a too much time, but I think it just depends for you.
Yeah, I think for the sake of the activity, I put like a number on it and a date on it. But I think ideally my goal is just to go until you feel good, until
Yeah.
you feel good about yourself. And so I don't necessarily have a number. I'm just gonna keep going the
Yeah.
whole lifestyle.
Yeah. And I think that, I think that it's really important for all of you guys. Thank you, Naomi. I think it's really important for all you guys to know that it's not like Precision Nutrition said what it said, but this isn't something that like you have to be absolutely married to these numbers from now until forever. Like you go by how you feel and what results you're getting. So if you're losing weight too quickly, then you can add some calories into your daily goal so that you're not losing weight so quickly. If you're starting to gain weight and you're consistent, like I'm not talking about you hit your calories one day and then for 3 days you didn't, and then one day you did, and then 5 days later you did it again. I'm talking about like 80% consistent, which is about 24 days out of a 30-day month. You're consistent with your calories, you're consistent with your protein, you're consistent with your fiber. If you're consistent and you're not seeing the weight loss or the fat loss, then you can go ahead and after a week or two, if you're in a plateau or you're not losing, then you can bring your calories down by 100 calories or 150 calories or 200 calories or whatever you think is going to be realistic and advantageous for you. And you can start to like make those own decisions for yourself. So 1400 calories is like Kim is starving and she's losing 4 pounds a week. And you want to be like, nope, I think 1600 calories is going to be a better place for me. Then you can do that, but I think it takes some reps and some consistency to be able to even figure out kind of what's going to be best for you. But that's a good question. Cool. Anybody else have questions? There's no bad questions. If you are thinking of something, I'm sure somebody else is too. Cool. Well, if you guys do have any other questions, please feel free to email me. I'm going to send out a recording of this workshop so you guys can review it. If any of you guys do macros for muscles, the recording is going to be in the course introduction. So it's not going anywhere. You'll have access to it. And I'll put the slides in there as well. So cool. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for staying on for as long as you have. And I hope to see you guys in Macros for Muscles, but if not, I hope to see you in general and take care.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys. Very
Thank
welcome.
you.